when Yahweh himself says, if every promise I have made to Dod, and there are hundreds of them, and in the very text of the 89th Mizmor, where Yahweh calls Dod his son, he refers to himself as his father. He calls them the Messiah. He calls them the Savior. He says he's like God in my presence. And he says if all of those promises don't materialize going forward, of Dod returning, this is 4 years after Dod's initial passing, this was written. He says, of all these promises I have made about Dod, which means he must be coming back because the promises would be fulfilled in the future. He said, if all of them are not fulfilled exactly as I have told you 7 times over, then you can call me a liar. Which means the purpose of the Christian New Testament is to call God a liar. Because they said none of them pertain to Dod. They all, even though he's named in all of them, and even though it's Yahweh speaking of him when he describes these prophecies, nope. They have to pertain to a person who never existed. Was no person named Jesus in the first century, and their Mr. Christ never lived. So in the midst of trying to justify the unjustifiable, they continued to misquote and misappropriate a series of psalms and prophecies. They were particularly at this point interested in pilfering from Yoel, and we've covered how ludicrous that was. And now we're on the 3rd psalm that they have misappropriated, the 110th. It's the most cited in all of the Christian New Testament, even though its own terminology validates the fact that it cannot pertain to a Mr. Christ. The reason is that, read the dedication of it. It says it's to Dod. It's about Dod. Now, that ought to have been your first clue, but yeah, let's not bother with the details. And of course, it constantly refers to Yahowah, and it speaks of events that have yet to occur.